big guns, right? I mean, I have several. I have 2 forums. I have interaction with people on Facebook, on Instagram, even on Twitter. Of course, people come up to me in the gym. Of course, after they say how awesome I am, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, how can I make my biceps bigger? Well, you have to understand that if you want to maximize your arm size, when it comes to the biceps at least, you need to hit the various portion of the arm flexors. This includes both sections of the biceps, the outer and inner portion, as well as the brachialis, which is underneath, which create that 3D look and the golf ball when you lean. Now, of course, every time you flex your arms, all 3 portions will work to some degree. I mean, you cannot totally isolate one of the 3 sections. However, depending on how you do your curls, you will be able to focus the stress a bit more on one section or 2 of the biceps or of the arm flexors. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is just how you should be doing your curls in general. The curl is not designed to be an exercise where you go for maximum weight. It's kind of the same thing as with the dumbbell lateral raise. You see people using momentum to get the weight up, oftentimes shortening the extension of the arm. So typical bro curl, I'm trying not to break anything, typical bro curl here, using that movement to get the weight up, and also not doing full arm extension. Oftentimes you see people doing curls, the arms are never extended. They're here, and they're basically just going here. The angle of the elbow almost doesn't change. They're called arm flexors or elbow flexors for a reason. The function is arm flexion, elbow flexion. If I'm going from here to here, notice the angle at the elbow joint almost doesn't change. So there's very little biceps action. So the first thing is, when you do your curls, don't use momentum, and also make sure that you do reach full extension before initiating the movement. You can also even contract the triceps in the bottom position to make sure that the bicep is as long as possible before initiating the contraction. The second thing is you must initiate your curl by tensing the biceps. Remember, the muscle firing first will be the muscle receiving the most stimulation. So if I'm doing my curls and I'm initiating the movement with the front delt or the traps, then the biceps will never receive maximum stimulation. The first muscle that needs to be contracting is the biceps. So even before I'm starting to lift the weight, I'm squeezing my biceps. I'm flexing my biceps. Then I initiate the curl to make sure that the bicep receives most of the stimulation. So that's true for all curls. Now, let's look at some modification you can make to the curls depending on what you're trying to accomplish. The first motivation is grip width. But more importantly, the width of the grip compared to the grip of the elbows. Okay? If my grip is narrower than my elbows, so you can see here, my wrists are inside my elbows. Here. So I'm still full extension, flexion. Full extension, flexion. I'm doing the work only with the biceps, not the other muscle groups. Now, when I'm using that position here, wrist inside, I will work the outer portion of my biceps to a greater extent. Now, if I do the opposite, grip wider, so at the top, my wrists are outside of my elbows. Still, biceps doing the job. Here, full extension, biceps doing the job. In fact, when I'm curling this way, I'm trying to bring my elbows in when I curl up. That will hit the inner portion of the biceps more. Now, if I use a reverse grip, I will use more the brachioradialis and a bit more brachialis also. And if I want to hit the brachialis, I'm going to go with a hammer grip with dumbbells. Okay? So these are the basic modifications to make to hit various portions of the curl. So if I see someone in a program doing just curls with a neutral position here, so my wrists are in line with the elbows, which is great to be an overall biceps builder. And then they do dumbbell curls using the exact same position, so the elbows and the wrists are in line. They're wasting their time. They're basically doing the same exercise with two different tools. So if I'm using that neutral position, wrists in line with the elbows, well, if I'm doing dumbbell curls, I might as well go this way. So my wrists are outside, so I hit a different portion. So don't do redundant exercises, okay? You don't need to isolate every section of your arms. But if your arm lacks in one portion, then you can isolate that portion a bit more.